Dropping $1,500 on a smartphone means you are buying into the ultra premium tier. At this price point, you expect zero compromises. The two heavyweights currently dominating this bracket are the Oppo Find X9 Ultra and the Vivo X300 Ultra. This chart shows what you see on their spec sheets. Both run on the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor and pack massive 200-megapixel camera sensors. But these matching numbers hide the reality. Their internal engineering philosophies are complete opposites. Your choice comes down to a direct trade-off between two specific goals: maximum native reach or maximum consistency. Declaring an objective winner is a complete waste of time. At this premium tier, there are no bad phones, only mismatched priorities. To figure out which device actually fits your life, we are going to use a scenario match framework. We will map your specific shooting and daily usage habits directly to the correct hardware. Relying solely on the spec sheet without understanding how you actually shoot will guarantee you buy the wrong phone. The primary battleground where these two devices split is their telephoto zoom architecture. This diagram illustrates Oppo's brute force hardware strategy. They built a dedicated 50-megapixel 10x periscope lens that bounces light through a series of internal mirrors to achieve a true 230mm optical reach. This physical hardware produces optical clarity and natural background compression at extreme distances that digital processing cannot fake. The trade-off for that dedicated hardware is exposure tuning. In tricky lighting, the Oppo struggles to balance the frame, frequently blowing out the highlights. Looking at this diagram of Vivo's approach, you see a completely different strategy. They use a single 200-megapixel 3.7x lens, relying heavily on digital cropping to push into the 10x range. Focusing on a shorter optical range gives Vivo highly reliable autofocus and supreme stabilization for everyday, mid-range zoom scenarios. However, when you push Vivo to extreme distances, you get noticeable digital sharpening artifacts and a loss of organic texture compared to the Oppo. Both brands offer bulky external teleconverter lenses you can attach, but adding extra glass to your pocket defeats the purpose of a daily carry smartphone. Oppo takes the win for wildlife and aviation because of pure hardware reach, while Vivo handles general event shooting with stabilized consistency. Distance is only half the equation. Most daily content creation actually happens up close, with portraits and video. These side-by-side viewfinders show the difference in their default field of view. Vivo defaults to a tighter 35mm crop, while Oppo opts for a wider 23mm landscape view. Vivo's 35mm choice creates exceptionally flattering portrait photography that avoids distorting facial features. Vivo pairs this with strong video, shooting pristine 4K at 120 frames, with best-in-class internal microphones. The trade-off with Vivo is its color science. The processing leans heavily toward vivid, oversaturated colors, rather than strict reality. Oppo's color science delivers much more natural, true-to-life tones, which is especially useful for wide-angle landscape photography. This flowchart highlights a massive workflow flaw for Oppo. There is a complete lack of Bluetooth wireless microphone support for native video recording. Furthermore, if you switch color profiles while shooting video on the Oppo, the software automatically drops your resolution down to 1080p. Vivo is the clear choice for vloggers and portrait shooters, leaving Oppo strictly for landscape photographers who demand natural tones. Driving these massive camera arrays requires serious power, bringing us to battery capacity and thermal management. To handle this massive power draw, Oppo equipped the Find X9 Ultra with a massive 7,050 mAh silicon carbon battery. This line graph maps real-world depletion. The Oppo stays steadily higher, consistently giving you an additional 1 to 2 hours of screen-on time over the Vivo. To protect that battery and keep the device cool, Oppo software aggressively throttles processor performance during heavy gaming sessions. Vivo treats that same Snapdragon processor very differently. They intentionally push the thermals harder to maintain high, sustained frame rates for gaming. That approach carries a dual trade-off. The Vivo gets uncomfortably hot in the hand, and it drains its smaller 6,600 mAh battery noticeably faster. Oppo sacrifices peak gaming frame rates to guarantee all-day camera endurance, whereas Vivo trades battery longevity for raw processing power. Let's step away from the hardware benchmarks and look entirely at your daily reality. This decision tree maps out the profiles. If you fit the social creator profile, meaning your priority is stable video, 35mm portraits, and connecting external microphones, your ideal purchase is the Vivo X300 Ultra. If you are a telephoto enthusiast, prioritizing extreme 10x optical reach and natural colors, your path leads to the Oppo Find X9 Ultra. And if you fit the endurance power user profile, valuing maximum screen-on time over sustained gaming thermals, you also map directly to the Oppo Find X9 Ultra. Ignore the marketing hype. Look at the specific trade-offs of your own shooting habits. Pick the scenario that matches your life and make your $1,500 investment with absolute confidence.